Hi guys, Colesy, and today we're going to go through some more PCs from First PC that you guys have bought using my code Colesy5. Now, you might remember that I made basically this video a while back. It must have been a good few months back now. But I made this very similar video where I went through PCs that you guys had bought using my code, and I just took a look at them. That video actually did really well, and people seem to enjoy it, so I figured I need to make a second part, a more updated part with newer PCs now that they've come out. So I got onto Fierce and told them I need a list of PCs that people had bought using my code again, and they supplied a bunch of PCs that people had used code Colesy5 to buy. So we're going to go through that list. There is a range of different PCs, from the toppest of top tier to simple beginner starter PCs. There's something for everyone. So most of these PCs are still available on Fierce PC. However, some of them have sold out or been discontinued since, but I have managed to track down the information about them, whether that's on an old cached version of the website or whether it's on one of my own videos actually where I've mentioned that PC before. So I'm going to do my best to go through these PCs and look at their specs. Won't necessarily have the prices on everything, and also I don't necessarily know what customizations people made to these PCs. So if someone decided to upgrade a part while they were configuring it, then I won't know that. I just know the model of the PC that they bought. So I'm just going to really go off the base spec of PCs and then speculate what people could have upgraded or what I would recommend people upgrade. Okie dokie, right, without further ado, we shall start looking at some PCs. Now we're going to start with the big boy here. This is the Necromancer RTX 3090 24GB gaming PC. When you're talking graphics card, the RTX 3090 is literally the best graphics card you can get at the minute. It is the top tier graphics card. It's got 24GB of VRAM. That is an insane amount of VRAM. And basically, with this PC, the world's your oyster. Play any game you want, do anything you want, done. Fine, that's fine. So this PC costs £2,769.95 as standard. Obviously, using code Colesy5, you'll get a discount, 5%, so that'll save you a whole chunk of money, which is awesome, and you can use the discount code on any of these PCs. But let's have a look at the specs, shall we? So, as standard, again, this could have been upgraded. It's with a GameMax F15M RGB case. As far as cases go, they're not necessarily my thing. I'm just like, a case holds my parts. That's all I care about. Like, yeah, if it looks nice, that's an extra. Some people, your case might be really important because you're going to have it on your desk and it's going to be like a piece of your room and it's going to be like decor. My PC, unfortunately, just sits under my desk and nobody ever sees it. It's literally in a corner of a room. So that's not too much of a concern for me, but everybody is allowed their own opinion. One case that I would like to get, if I'm going to upgrade, I would like to get the Lumina case from Fierce PC, because those cases are awesome, and I do have a custom front panel over there that you can't see, but I made a video about unboxing that. But I would love to get that case because it's got like a full RGB front, and it looks really awesome. So it does have a 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler, something I don't have at the minute. I'm still on an air cooler, which I would like to upgrade in future. Buying this PC, you're already getting liquid cooling, which again, generally provides good cooling, but one of the main things is it's a lot quieter than air cooling, because air cooling tends to have like really big fans and make a lot more noise, whereas the water cooling tends to be quieter. So if that's something that is your concern, then maybe you want to go with liquid cooling for whatever PC you decide to get, whether you get this one or a different one. In terms of RAM, 16GB of RAM, good. That's what I would consider the minimum RAM that you should get if you can help it. 8 will do you fine if you can't go any higher, but 16 you should aim for. I mean, my opinion, if I was going to buy this PC, if I'm going really balls to the wall, I would probably go for the 32, just because I'm already getting an insane like RTX 3090. I may as well have like an insane amount of RAM to go with that. But obviously that's an extra £88. So if you don't want to spend that, fair enough. I completely understand. And also, just talking again aesthetics wise, you pay an extra £6 and get basically effectively the same RAM, but it has RGB on it, which is pretty cool. And I gotta say, I have grown to like RGB more and more the more I have slowly gained of it. Like, I have an RGB keyboard now, and I think, to be honest, if I do build a new PC or upgrade my PC, I think I might stick a bunch of RGB in it, just because it does look cool. Okay, let's look at storage. So we've got 500GB SSD, M.2, can't complain about that. And then to pair with that, you've got a terabyte hard drive for like your standard storage. Again, that's sort of a configuration I would recommend, and I have recommended to people in the past. If you're gonna get a PC, I would recommend you get an SSD, whether it's an M.2 or whether it's just a 2.5-inch SSD. Get that, at least get the smallest one, which I think is 250 gig, it looks like, in both of those. Get that to store Windows on and to store some programs on. That's going to help your PC boot up super fast and be able to load these programs super fast. Then pair that with a hard drive, depending on how large you want your hard drive. But I would say pair that with a hard drive, at least 1 terabyte here. That's for your storage. That's for your photos, your videos, your games. It's a cheaper way to have a bulk load of storage. Yes, you could spend more money and get a bigger SSD. If you want to do that, do that. Again, it's going to help load faster. But generally, as long as you're loading Windows off an SSD, that's the main thing. You're going to notice a huge amount of increased speed and performance by doing that. And then if you want to just run your games off a hard drive, generally that's going to be fine as well. Other things like power supplies, I don't tend to look too much at, because I know that First PC are going to sort it out and make sure that the power supply is perfectly enough for what spec components I'm using. The only other component that they haven't actually mentioned here, I assume because it can't be upgraded because it is just set as standard, is the CPU, which is an Intel Core i7-10700KF. That's a 8-core Intel CPU. Again, that's a very, very good CPU. No, it's not the top line CPU, because if you want to go Intel, I believe you can go i9, which is like top. But an i7 octa-core is going to do perfectly fine. And again, basically anything you want to do, you're going to be able to do that. Any game you want to play, dude, just play it. Just load it up, mate, because it's going to work. Onward to the next PC. Okie dokie. So, next up we have the custom Hypernova. Now, the custom PCs are generally, they are designed with like a base spec, and then you can upgrade the parts that you want to upgrade. Let's have a look here. Right, again, we've got a whole load of cases. Completely up to you which ones you buy. These are the Luminas that I was talking about, these cases here, which look awesome. And yes, if I'm going to upgrade, I might get onto Fierce about getting a Lumina because I think they look awesome. And I have a custom front panel which I want to put on it because it looks cool. You might notice that this is quite similar to the last PC, so it probably won't involve too much going over, but basically, again, it's using an all-in-one liquid cooler, the same one as last time. In terms of the GPU, we have more options here. Now, as base, it comes with 3080, which no, isn't quite as big as the 3090, but I mean, look, it's £750 extra for the 3090, but 3080, still a very, very good graphics card. I would be more than happy with that. I'm back here, mate. I'm back here with the 2060 at the minute, so, and that's perfectly fine for me. Actually, 2060 runs anything I want it to run pretty much, with like the exception of Cyberpunk, which doesn't run that great for anybody at the minute. Up to you. Again, you can go all the way down to a not 1060. That's very old. You can go all the way down to a 1660, 2060, 3060 Ti, 3080, 3090, and then you've got some AMD options here. I don't tend to recommend the AMD options personally because I don't have much experience with them. That doesn't mean that they're bad cards, it just means that I don't know enough about them, and I have a lot more experience with Nvidia, and I know that Nvidia cards are top quality, and generally, at least in my opinion, but I think this is true, they tend to be better performing than the AMD equivalents, although the AMD tend to be slightly cheaper. Again, in terms of RAM, we're on 16 gig. Again, you can pay a little bit more. This is a little bit more actually for the RGB, but that's due to it being slightly faster RAM as well. Or you can go 32 gig with these ones. Again, that's completely up to you depending on what you can afford, your budget, and what you're going to use it for. 16 should be fine for pretty much anything. If you're going to do a lot of video editing, 3D rendering and stuff like that, like really heavy stuff, maybe you're going to go 32 gig. In terms of storage, instead of going with the M.2 SSD like we did in the last one, it's going with a 2.5-inch SSD, which I think they tend to be a little bit slower, but genuinely that's what I'm using anyway, and the speed is perfectly fine. The computer boots up in an instant, and there's no problem with that. So yep, and again, we're pairing it with a hard drive, which is, like I said, that's my recommendation. SSD for Windows and essential programs, things you want to run snappy, and then everything else goes on the hard drive. Not that that won't run things snappy, but the SSD, you will notice the difference, especially for Windows, for like booting up and stuff. The difference here, we can pick a CPU. Now we're on Ryzen rather than Intel this time. And on the contrary to what I said about GPUs, about me recommending NVIDIA rather than AMD, when I recommend PCs to people, I generally recommend Ryzen because they are very, very good. Now these are the CPUs from AMD compared to Intel. Now personally, I'm running an Intel, have a Ryzen sat here, which I'm yet to build, but that will be my first Ryzen PC, hopefully. The AMD Ryzen line of CPUs are very, very good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're very, very good. They're good budget. They're good performance. They definitely compare well to Intel CPUs, which in the past have always been like the CPUs to go for. They're the better CPU. But since Ryzen came out, which again is probably quite a few years ago now, but since Ryzen launched, they've been a lot more competitive. And because they tend to be a cheaper option for comparative performance, they're very, very good, and I do recommend them. So as base, this comes with a Ryzen 7 3700X octa-core CPU. You can upgrade that slightly to this one here, which again, octa-core CPU, runs slightly faster, or you can go higher to the Ryzen 9, which I guess is like comparing to like an Intel i9. You have an Intel i3, i5, i7, i9, and you have the same with Ryzen. You have a Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9. So 9 is the top end of Ryzen CPUs. So you can upgrade to the 5900X, which is a new Ryzen because it's the 5000 series. That is a 12-core CPU, or you can go higher core count with the Ryzen 9 3950X, which has 16 cores. That's a lot of cores. That's more cores than many of us will ever need. But if you want to go for that, that's an option. Also, if you want to save a little bit of money and downgrade slightly from the 3700X, you can go again with a new 5000 series, and you can go with the Ryzen 5 5600X. So I don't know what this person bought, but any of those options are all good options. Same with GPUs. Like, you're gonna have a good experience with all of these. As standard, £1,869.95. You'll get a discount with the code, obviously, and it will change depending on what spec you decide to build. But all round, very, very nice PC. Okie dokie. Right, so this PC is very much on the other end of the scale. It's more of a budget option. It's also a bundle, which means it comes with a monitor, keyboard, mouse, headset, all your stuff you need. If you've got nothing, you're starting off from scratch, and you want to get into PC gaming, then a bundle is a good way to go. Fears have a bunch of them. This is one of them. This is also an express version of that, which means they can ship it a lot quicker because it's sat, ready, built, done, which means they can have it to you next day, as long as you order before a certain time, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will add it to the video now. If you order it before that time, then the aim is that they will get it to you next day. Obviously, with everything going on at the minute, there may be some delays due to postage and stuff, but they should get it to you pretty damn quick. With the Express PCs, the difference here is you can't make any changes to it. There is no change you can make because these PCs, like I said, are built, sat on a shelf, ready to go. That's why they can get them out to you very, very quickly. So this PC will come with this spec. Ryzen 3 3200G, built-in RX Vega 8 graphics, 16 gig DDR4. Again, that's still good. Terabyte hard drive, and then motherboard, monitor, all your good rest of it, you know, everything you need, power supply, etc, etc. This PC costs basically £650. It's a lot cheaper, and you're getting the monitor and everything with it, which is also really, really good, especially if you're starting, like I said. But obviously, this is not going to be the most highest performing PC. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to be able to play games, because it definitely will, because even without having a dedicated graphics card, just using the built-in RX Vega 8 graphics, that can play games. Like, Ryzen have the ability to play games like that. If you want to play some Fortnite, some Minecraft, you're going to be able to do that. I have recommended these PCs to people before that are looking like to get their son or their daughter a PC because they're young and they want to start playing PC. They've been playing console, but they want to play PC. I've recommended a bunch of these PCs that have no GPU in them. Now, what I've also said to these people is it will be able to run these games, and I've tried to find them comparative videos on YouTube which are running the same spec PCs to show them like the kind of frame rate you're going to get. The thing with PCs like this that don't have a dedicated GPU, you can always add one after the fact. You can save up, you can see if you like gaming on a PC, and then if you do enjoy it and you want to get more into it, you can buy a GPU and add it in after the fact. And it's going to provide a lot more power to the PC to be able to play more graphically intense games and give you better frame rates. So this is a great way to start in PC gaming, is what I'm saying, with some upgradability to improve it in future. So you don't have to spend $2,000 up front, you can spend 650, buy this whole set, and then if you like it, you could upgrade in the future. This doesn't have an SSD, which not the end of the world, and again, something that can be added in future, but it does have the 1TB hard drive, which still plenty of space, and it works, so that's the main thing. When people contact me and ask for my help, I try and find out, what they're going to play, what their budget is, what they want to do with the PC in general. Do they want to do anything else other than gaming? Are they going to do streaming? Are they going to do videos? All of this, so that I am able to recommend them a PC that fits not only their budget, but what they're going to use it for. If you guys are interested in getting some help from me, then hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. Just send me a message and I'll do my best to help you. I've never turned anybody away and said I can't help you, so if you want some help, then just send me a message and I'll be happy to help. This PC is a custom version, which means it comes with a base spec and then you upgrade it as you go. Now this is a very, very base spec by the looks of it, because it's a Ryzen 3 3200G, which is the CPU we just had, but this is coming with a 1030, which I wouldn't recommend if you're going to play games at all. That is not a gaming graphics card by any means. It's coming with 8 GB of RAM, which again, we've been through. I'd say upgrade to 16, and it comes with a 1TB hard drive, which if you can afford to add an SSD, I think they're about £30 on here, the lowest size, then I'd definitely do that. Again, whole choice of cases, up to you, completely personal opinion. And I don't know what this person bought, because I just know that they bought this machine. I do tend to recommend these kind of custom machines fairly often, because I'm helping people build a PC. So they've messaged me and I've gone on to something like this to configure the best PC I can for their budget, and then they'll buy it. So that could be why so many of these have been sold using my code, is because I have recommended them and I've given them a spec that I recommend inputting onto this, if you know what I mean. So here's all the CPUs. Again, we can go up to Ryzen 5 3600X, very, very good CPU, and you can go slightly down to the Ryzen 3 3100 and all the ones in between. Again, depends on your budget, depends what you're going to do with the PC. In my mind, I'd go with a Ryzen 5. If I didn't really know much else, I'd go at least with the 2600, because it's sort of middle of the road, it's going to perform well. But like I said, if you really don't know, then please do ask for help. I'd be happy to help. So don't just come into this and just click out anything and just stock CPU cooler. Again, these are fine if you are on a budget and you just use the stock cooler. There's no problem there. They come with stock coolers for a reason. They work, they're good. Intel and AMD wouldn't ship these stock coolers with the CPUs if they didn't work. If you want to upgrade to a bigger air cooler or an all-in-one liquid cooler, that's up to you. Again, liquid cooler, you're generally going to get probably lower temperatures than you do with a stock cooler, and it will be quieter because it's not going to have such a beefy fan on it. Or if you want to get you just want to lower the temperature without spending quite as much money, then you might want to get a larger air cooler, which is going to put more airflow through it and cool the CPU probably slightly better than the stock cooler. But again, stock cooler is not a problem. It's going to cool it fine. It's made to do that. It's shipped with the CPU for a reason. So we've got a few more budget options here. I would recommend not going with the 1030. If you're going to do any gaming, you want to go higher than that. At least go with the 1654 gig. That's going to be a decent budget option. I would say probably, in my opinion, I'd rather go 1654 gig than a 1050, just because the 1650 is newer. 1050 is kind of getting a little bit old now, I guess. 1660 again is a little upgrade to that, and 1660 Super slightly better than the 1660. If you want ray tracing, you're going to have to go with an RTX card, so either the 2060 or the newer 3060 Ti. Both of those will be perfectly fine and run pretty much most things that you want to run, and also have the ability to do a bit of ray tracing, which just in some games that have ray tracing enabled just make it look really nice. Fortnite has that now, Minecraft has that now, and they both look really good. Cyberpunk has that, although Cyberpunk doesn't run the best at the minute, but that's just due to Cyberpunk being Cyberpunk. And then you've got some AMD versions, which I haven't experimented with them, I haven't really used them at all. See, the thing is, you're getting that one for 144, so the comparative one here, see, even the 1660 is £50 more. So maybe, yeah, if you're looking, if that's too much for you, the 1660 is too much, but you can afford to spend more than the 1650. Maybe go with like one of the AMDs. They fit perfectly in that middle range, and I'm sure they probably perform better than these do. So yeah, maybe that's where the AMD option sits. Here we are, RAM. So you can see 8 gig, as we talked. I think you can go higher than that. 16 gig is an extra £38. If you can afford that, do that. If you can just get 8, get the 8. It's one 8 gig stick. In the future, if you want to upgrade and stick another 8 gig stick in, then do that. In terms of storage, again, we've been through this. As standard, comes with a hard drive. If you can, pair that with a 2.5 inch for £26 for the 240 gig at least, or the M.2 for, is that the same price? Either way, yeah, fine. Either way, pick which one you want and buy it, because I would recommend doing that to install Windows on. Here's a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret now before we move on. Down here, which says operating system, it has Windows 10 on it, right? That's good. That means it's going to work straight out of the box, have full Windows 10 activated. Good. However, if you're confident enough to sort out your own Windows 10, you can just select none, and that'll save you like £89. Now, it'll come, the PC will still come with a trial version on. So you still have the trial version of Windows, which actually you can pretty much do everything you can in normal Windows. It just says Windows need activating in the bottom corner. That's all it says. You can also buy codes from online auction websites for like £5. Now, I don't know the legitimacy of these, but I know you can do it. And you can just enter the code into your trial version of Windows and it will activate it. That might be a way you can save a bunch of money on a PC. It means that you can upgrade a different part. I'm just saying, it's a little secret. You didn't hear it from me, but it's an option. I'm just saying it's an option. Okay, right, we're going to try and blow through these a bit quick because I've been recording for like half an hour already. So another bundle here, the Ironwing Savage bundle. So again, we've got the Ryzen 3 3200 gig. 3200 gig, what am I on about? I'm losing my mind. AMD Ryzen 3 3200G, 8 gig of RAM, terabyte hard drive, blah, 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 blah. Now this is upgradable, whereas I think the last one we looked at, the last bundle, was not upgradable because it was express next day shipping. So you can upgrade the Ryzen 3 to the Ryzen 5. In all honesty, you're not getting any more cores, you're getting slightly more speed. Up to you really. In terms of GPU, you don't have to have a GPU. Again, you can run on the integrated graphics. I'd recommend getting a graphics card personally. If you're going to look at gaming, you want a graphics card if you can afford it. So I'd say, you probably want to go at 1650, that'll do you fine. That's a good beginning GPU. If you can't quite afford the 1660, because that is a fair jump, that's like £140 extra than this one, then maybe you want to jump on an AMD Radeon RX 580 or the RX 5500 XT. RAM, again, if you can upgrade to 16, you can pay the extra £38, sorry. If you can afford the extra £38, it's just good for future proofing, basically, to have the 16, but you can always, again, upgrade with another 8. We've been through SSDs. I recommend you add one to couple with the hard drive. In terms of power supply, now here's the thing, if you pick a GPU and a CPU that is more powerful than the standard power supply that it comes with at the minute, so this 450, then Fierce PC will automatically pick the power supply that you'll need. Like, it'll automatically upgrade it for you down here, so that you're not going to accidentally buy a power supply that won't power the PC. Basically, it's a good system, and basically Fierce PC makes sure that the PC is going to work. If you want to save yourself a bit more money, then you can do the whole Windows 10 thing that I said earlier, but again, up to you. And you're getting a monitor and keyboard, mouse, headset, all with it. And as with all these PCs, you're getting your 3-year warranty as standard, which is super useful. One of the big selling points, I think, with buying from like Fierce PC, not only are they going to do a good job building it, you're going to get a good price, you're going to get an even better price using the code. I have to keep pointing weirdly, but you get a better price using the code, get 5% off. But also you're getting this warranty, which if you're a parent buying for a child, or you're just an adult who's good at being an adult, you'll realise that having a warranty is super useful. This is my video I made about gaming PCs for Christmas, so I was just trying to recommend some PCs of different levels for people looking to buy them for Christmas presents. Now this one is a more budget option, similar to the bundle Exile PC that we looked at earlier. It's very much similar. It's a Ryzen 3 3200G, 16 gig of RAM, terabyte hard drive. This one isn't part of a bundle, so it doesn't come with a monitor or a keyboard or anything, but keyboards are pretty easy to pick up. Most people might have them laying around anyway, keyboard and mouse. You can also just plug these PCs in via like HDMI into a TV. So if you've already got a TV, if you're going to stick it in your living room, or it's for like a child, maybe they've already got a TV in their room, You don't need to buy a monitor and stuff. You can plug it straight into the TV, saves you buying a bundle, saves you a bit more money. But all in all, a great budget start to being able to play PC gaming, and it has upgradability. It doesn't have a dedicated GPU, like I said earlier. You can add that after. You can also upgrade the CPU to a Ryzen 5 or a Ryzen 7 afterwards. This one's even weirder. We're not on a video. We're actually on a Google cached version of the page for the PC because this PC isn't for sale anymore. I believe this one's probably definitely because it's slightly outdated. Still going to be a pretty nice, decent PC for somebody. I don't know the price on this one. It won't load any further than this. This is as far as it'll load. These are the details that I could find. So this one's called the Wyvern GTX 1650 4GB Super. It doesn't ring a bell. Some of these I've heard of before. This one doesn't particularly ring a bell. Now, it has the 1650 Super graphics card, which is good. It has a dedicated graphics card, always good. It means it's going to run some games pretty good. It comes with 16 gig of RAM, good. Has an SSD, 500 gig, so that's better than the minimum amount of storage, which I think is 240 on Fierce, and it also has a terabyte hard drive. These are all good things. These are all things I've said you should have if you want to get into gaming. Dedicated graphics card, 16 gig of RAM, SSD for Windows, and some storage of like programs mainly, I would guess, and then a big hard drive to store games, videos, all your other stuff on. The only thing with this one is it has a fairly outdated CPU. It's an AMD Athlon X4 950. Earlier I said that when Ryzen CPUs were released, that's when AMD really came into their own compared to Intel. That's when you really could consider buying an AMD CPU rather than an Intel and get very similar performance. Now, the Athlons are older. That was before Ryzen, so that's an area that I really don't know much about because I've used an Intel CPU, well, forever. I've never had an AMD CPU until I bought one that sat there, which I'm going to make a video with. So I haven't had much experience with AMD. I have used an AMD Ryzen-based PC before, but I've never played around with an Athlon, so I don't know. But the rest of the PC seems fairly good spec, so I'm going to assume that Fierce PC knew what they were doing when they designed this PC, and that for whoever bought this is probably having a good experience with it. In terms of upgradability, I'm not sure what the upgrade path is from an Athlon. Don't know whether you'll have to buy a new motherboard and CPU to upgrade that. I doubt you'll be able to just stick like a Ryzen in that motherboard, whatever that motherboard is. It seems fairly, not necessarily budget, but it wouldn't have been the most expensive, so it'll be somewhere in the middle, but it should perform pretty good, I think. That's all the PCs to look at for today. That's it's not all the PCs that people bought, it is merely a selection of PCs, so if you didn't see the PC you bought using my code in here, then I apologize, but I probably wouldn't have had enough time to go through every single one of them, because you guys buy a lot of PCs using my code, and I massively appreciate that. That's awesome. Please, if you're going to buy a PC, please do remember to use the code. It's Colesy 5, Colesy and the word 5 all as one. Not only does it help me out and support me, it means you get a good deal on a PC, which is awesome. If you're looking for a PC and you would like some help, then please feel free, like I said, hit me up, drop me a message on Twitter or on Instagram. Both of those are at Colesy Gaming, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can to help you figure out what PC fits your budget, fits your needs, and we'll get you sorted out with something really cool, hopefully. That'll do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy it. Let me know in the comments if you were one of these people who bought one of these PCs, and let me know how you're getting on with it. I'm sure you're enjoying it, especially if you're buying like 3090s. There's no way you get a 3090 and go, it's just not quite as good as I thought. It's the best PC you can buy. It's the best PC money can buy, and you are a very, very lucky person. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!